Hey, thanks for jumping on the Discord call. I was wondering if you could help me with figuring out how to play this series that I just heard of.
Yes, of course. You mentioned that it was the Trail series, right?
Yeah, it's the Trail series. I just heard of it. New games coming out and everything. I'm pretty excited. So I was looking on Reddit and it says that I could probably like play at Cold Steel first. You know, I mean I hope so because the graphics actually don't look that bad.
Ooh,
What?
Ooh.
What? What's?
I mean, technically you can, but
Okay, fine. Oh, I see here. This says Trails to Zero. I mean, it has 0 in the name. It's gotta be the first one, right?
ooh, you do not want the Yakuza fandom to hear that.
Okay, you know what? This is just becoming too complicated. I'm just gonna play the new game when it comes out. What was it? Trails to Azure?
What? No, you can't do that. That would ruin the whole thing. You have to play from the beginning and then to the end and get all the juices, all the good juices for playing like Endgame. Just like Endgame.
Okay, I'm leaving.
No, don't go. Oh, not another one.
Hello, I'm Noah Price, your Christian gamer. I love RPGs and JRPGs, and it pains me every single time a situation like this comes up. Legend of Heroes, the new game, Trails of Azure, is coming out over here on the West. Finally. And it reminds me of a great RPG franchise that I'm going to be missing out on. Maybe you could relate to this. Probably most recently for most of you guys is with The Witcher 3, when the most recent update release came out. Maybe some of you guys picked it up for the first time, but maybe you was like me and passed it sadly because, well, the problem is, wow, this is Witcher 3. I heard it's really good and I want to play it, but I haven't played the other games yet. So yes, while I do plan to play The Witcher 3 at some point and probably cover it for the channel, I, like many others, want to follow the whole series. I want to get all the impact and the payoff for the whole journey. The problem we run into is it's like as if you just jump to the last release of the series, it's like going and watching the Marvel's Endgame without watching any of the other Marvel movies. It doesn't have the same payoff, and that's not what the point of the movie is. The point of the movie is to pay off all the other movies you've been watching up to this point. And so while we find the situation of like, wow, sequels are powerful. We already know this from, as mentioned, Endgame. Endgame, we've seen how this works of the whole build up to the payoff and how awesome that feels. And even to the point that now everybody's trying to build up their whole universe so that they can have their own kind of end game. And this doesn't just exist in movies, this is also in video games. There's countless different games like Mass Effect where there's a whole series built up and then the last one, there's a payoff. You could fail that payoff for sure, as everybody looks at with Mass Effect 3 for sure. But whether it fails or not, we're kind of stuck in this spot of like, oh, do we start at the beginning of the old release when let's be honest, it's pretty arcaded gameplay, or do we jump to the new release and hope we can figure things out? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm gonna be a hypocrite here. I'm telling you guys, you should jump ahead. If a new game's coming out and you want to play it, you should go and play it. Because this is what happens. The problem is, almost every single time you're like, ooh, that looks great. Oh, but I have to play all this. All right, I'll play this game and then I'll make my way all the way up there and it'll be a little fun adventure I go on. What happens is either one, you start that game at the very beginning, and if it's like Witcher 1, it's pretty garbage how it plays. And so while you struggle to play this game, you kind of fall off because you're like, this game sucks and it's not what I want. I want to play the new game with all the cool mechanics that I can do and all the fun stuff. So there's one example, and then the second one's even worse, to where you'd never even buy it. You never even buy the first game. You never even start that journey to begin, and you just forget about it. And maybe you did buy The Witcher 3, but because you're holding off, now it's just sitting in your backlog. And let's be honest, this is not the only series that this happens to. And so your library just gets full and full of all these like, hey, it's the second game of this, it's the third game of this, and it's just cluttering your backlog and taunting you, yelling at you like, you will never play me. So the advice I'm giving you guys is the same one I've heard from others, is that, hey, just play the game. Just play the game you want to play. Worst case scenario, there's some solutions you could do, kind of mitigate the fires that can come with jumping to the latest series in the game. But overall, the experience is you'll at least get to play actually the game you want to play. What are the solutions to kind of mitigate the fire? Well, okay, let's get into it. First one is, well, you could simply look up information about it. There's several different people on YouTube who will cover just different new releases of games and say, hey, what do I need to know for this amount before I play the newest game? There's countless of people who do content on that, which are great and very helpful. The other option, and it's not as great, but it depends on your preference and how much time you have. The second one is, well, watch a Let's Play. This will give you more information and more actual experience. It almost is like you're playing the game. You get the one-to-one experience of all the little moments that happens so that you for sure get every reference when you get to the new game. And then the third one is the one that I advise the least amount, and that's just jumping in and playing the game. Let's be honest, the pros to this is that you get to play the game, which, again, this is what we're trying to lean on, but I do think it's important to do a little bit of research if you are going to jump into the new game. Sure, some games in the latest series will kind of acknowledge that some people are playing this series right here, starting here, so they will try to catch you up. I think it's more worthwhile, and to actually get that payoff, I think it's important to do that research. Now, I think the game has a lot more value than just the payoff. A lot of games have more value just through gameplay mechanics and just the fun of playing a game, that you don't have to know every single little reference. It feels like we have to whenever we play games, especially if we're playing games that have more story focus. It feels like we want to have that connection and that payoff. But let's be honest, we don't always need to. Before you actually pick what to do of, hey, should you play the game or not to play the game, let's look at our values. What do we want from the game? Are we somebody who really cares about the payoff? If you're somebody like me, yeah, you really care about the payoff. So you might be in the position of either one, playing the new game but doing research, or two, let's be honest, let's start at the beginning and let's play through. So this is why I'm saying I'm a hypocrite, because while I'm saying, hey, you should go play the game, you should go do it, please, I'm telling you, I'm not going to. I'm actually with the Trail series. I'm specifically going to be starting to play the very first game. I don't want to leave you off with like, you should go play the game. If you are going to be like me and you are going to, well, basically start from the beginning and follow the whole series, then let me give you some advice. So I'm not just leaving you with good luck. Look at my notes. I'm actually not going to give you that much advice, because there's someone called Super Derek RPGs. He does great videos, great content on RPGs, and he's already done some videos on this. So if you're seeing a video right here, that's his video, so you should go check it out. It actually is a lot of what I'm doing. Basically, hey, building a habit of like, hey, let's set a time and schedule of like, hey, we're gonna play this game here, we're gonna do it this amount of time. And yeah, it's a great video about tackling your backlog. He also has another video that has to do with actually the Trail series specifically. So both videos are great, so I'm just gonna point you off that way, because I think that's gonna be the best for you guys. So good luck with sequels. They are a terrifying situation that we are stuck with as video game enjoyers. Not even video games, but you know what I mean. This just makes me wish there's more sequels like the Final Fantasy series of the Dragon Quest games, where it's like, or the older Dragon Quest series games where they're not connected to each other, like a Pokemon game, where it's like, hey, you could just pick up any game. They're a sequel, but man, they're so powerful, because just having like, oh, the new Legend of Zelda game's coming out. Yeah, I'm gonna play that game. So powerful. It reminds me of the Bible, how like the Bible has like Luke to Acts. That's kind of like a connected, almost like a sequel book. So it's like, sure, you probably want to read Luke before you read Acts. You don't have to. But then you see books that are just like, no, you could just jump in and read this book. But again, check out those videos that are linked in and showing to it and all that good stuff. Thank you guys again for coming out, and Jesus loves you. All right, bye guys. I'm going to not tackle my backlog. I'm going to get a new game. No.